O que é ser um mentalista?
Right. So it's actually a bit of a difficult question because there are TV shows called The Mentalist and so on. But from the start, a mentalist is someone who can create the illusion of being able to read someone's mind. Now, this can be done in a couple of different ways. It could be done with, say, magical tricks or cheating, or it could be done with psychology. So today, the word mentalist has sort of got this more tone of psychology to it, but from the beginning, it was just basically the illusion of being able to read minds.
Bom, é possível qualquer daqui ser um mentalista e se desenvolver as habilidades ensinadas no seu livro?
Well, if I didn't think that anyone could... Oh, sorry, I'm fiddling with the volume here. Let's try that. So if I didn't think that anyone could learn this, there would be no point for me in writing books. So, and also because since I learned this, I know that everyone can because I had no social skills whatsoever when I was young. I was hopelessly bad at all the stuff that I'm teaching now. And that's what started my interest in this whole area.
Então, gente, qualquer aqui pode ser um mentalista, hein? No mundo competitivo, ler mentes se torna um instrumental para desempate?
That's a statement, not a question, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. No, but of course, because the one true holy grail is, of course, to really understand other people, to understand what they try to tell you, regardless of what words they're using, to be able to see what someone really needs, or just being able to make sure that no one will misunderstand you. Because if you do that, you will have such an advantage to everything. Also, by the way, what we're talking about now, all this about body language, non-verbal communication, all the things that I write about are not only tools to be used in a business situation or, I don't know, to get people to do what you want. Science just recently come to the conclusion, because there's a lot of hard science actually being done right now about all these things, and it has just recently come to the conclusion that the one thing that makes us people happy is if we have some very close and intimate relationships with other people around us, that we have some very close friends. If we don't have those kinds of relationships, we will never feel happiness in our life. This is actually what science tells us today. And at the same time, same research tells us that we've never been so poor at being able to create these relationships as we are today, because social skills is becoming a lost art. So what I'm trying to write about is not only good to use in, say, a business situation, it's actually, and I know this sounds pretentious, but it's actually the tools that are meant to create happiness in your life.
Quando você escreve sobre empatia, nos dá técnicas para gerar empatia no outro de forma estratégica e planejada, né? Mas você salienta que a empatia deve ser pautada na sinceridade. Eu confesso que em alguns momentos eu acreditei que a sinceridade jamais precisaria de estratégia. Seria eu muito inocente ou esse realmente é o caminho? A gente precisa de uma estratégia para iniciar a nossa sinceridade com o outro.
Not necessarily strategies, but we do need the tools for it, because what we're talking about now is also kind of a language, and you can be as honest if you want with the things you want to express, but if you don't know the language, you will not be able to express it. And it's the same thing here. That, and also because no one has taught us this stuff, we are supposed to just have picked it up from somewhere, which means that we do a lot of mistakes. So not only do we not talk the language properly, we talk it in the wrong way, which means that even if you're honest and sincere and you want to create empathy, you can actually, by accident, create situations where people will dislike you instead, and you have no idea that it's your doing.
Próxima. No seu livro Arte de Ler Mente, você coloca que para despertarmos interesse e envolvimento do outro, devemos imitar gestos representativos da pessoa com 20 segundos de atraso, em alguns momentos, para que ela não perceba nitidamente a técnica do espelho e embarque nessa sedução e nessa busca de empatia. Você poderia exemplificar isso para a gente aqui, comigo, por exemplo, ou com alguém da plateia? Como exemplificar isso? Dos 20 segundos.
I'm not quite sure what you mean. What 20 seconds?
Well, you written it.
Yeah, I know. I just
So,
don't remember it.
yeah, because
20 seconds. Did I write?
yeah,
20
20 seconds to be delay. 20 segundos para você dar uma atrasada quando você for fazer o gesto da outra pessoa. Para você, tipo,
Oh, right,
você tá aqui.
right. Yeah,
Aí você
okay.
cruza a perna. Cruza a perna aí.
Yeah, right. So
Okay.
that is not, that is not a set rule. It has to be 20 seconds.
Okay. So,
I just meant that
Explain
you could wait a while.
sim, so can we do this? Can I do something and the audience...
All right. Okay. So I see what you're getting at. So, and I'm going to remove this now. Because for people not having read the book, I think this just sounded weird, what we were just talking about. But the first way that we use in our communication when we try to establish relationships is by doing what you were just talking about. We use our body language, because this comes from a time when we did not have speech, and we still needed to create groups where we needed to signal trust and that we would get along, because that was survival. And the way we did that was to mimic each other's behavior. So if you were seated like that, I would be seated like this, and you're nodding and I'm nodding. And this creates a feeling of mutuality, that we are sort of the same. And since you like you would probably like someone who's almost like you, in this case me. So this was the very primitive way we had of signaling that I'm a bit like you. We understand the world in the same way. We will get along together. And we still use it, actually. All of you could easily, when you walk out the fair today, try to find people who are close friends or seem to be in love or have lived together, that they have a close relationship, and see how they mimic their posture, their behavior. They will speak with the same speed. They will have the same tone of voice. And that is because we are constantly creating a dance where we're telling each other, I'm a bit like you, so trust me, enjoy my company.
Agora, Henrik, eu gostaria que você nos explicasse, não para ficar confuso, mas para despertar um interesse das pessoas aqui em devorarem o seu livro, como aconteceu comigo. A diferença que você coloca no livro entre pessoas que são visuais, auditivas...
Oh, hang on. This just killed my...
Okay.
Right, sorry.
A diferença entre as pessoas que são visuais, auditivas e cinéticas, e como deixar uma comunicação fluida com cada estilo de pessoa.
Oh, right. Sure. Because we all have different sensory inputs that we prefer. Some people, actually most people, prefer visual input. If they want to learn something, they need to see it. Other people prefer auditory input. They need to hear something. Still other people prefer the input of touch. And this will sort of also shape the way they prefer to communicate. So, for instance, if you deal with a very visual person, you need to explain something for that person in pictures. You have to show them. If you deal with an auditory person, it's much more important what you tell them, and so on. So you have to pick up on, and there are techniques for picking up on this without being too technical. So you have to pick up on what sensory input the other person prefers, and shape your communication to cater to that. Does that make sense?
Sim. Sim, faz sentido.
And I should point out that this might sound very, very technical. It's not. It's the
No.
as you know, you've read the book. It's the easiest thing in the world. And we talk with all these, difficult terms, auditory input, preferred sensory modality, but that's just words. The actual techniques are dead easy. And they are so easy because at one point in time, they're part of who we are. They're there somewhere in the back of our minds.
Teve um momento lendo o seu livro que eu cheguei a pensar, e isso deve acontecer, você já deve ter ouvido isso que eu vou falar em outros lugares, que eu cheguei a pensar, mas isso é para a gente manipular o outro? E aí logo em seguida, quando eu li mais, eu falei, não, isso é para a gente perceber melhor o outro. Eu queria que você comentasse isso, porque isso é uma emoção e um sentimento que me deu quando eu li o livro, e eu acredito que em mais pessoas.
Yeah, absolutely, and that is one of the things that always comes up. Isn't this being, as you say, manipulating other people? Well, first of all, we have to discuss the word to manipulate, because to manipulate something is really just to change something from one state to the other. Now, if I say hi to you, I've leaned forward and I've smiled and you've given me a laugh back. In that way, I changed you from one state to another. So manipulation and influence is the same thing. And influence and communication is the same thing, because you cannot communicate anything to someone without trying to influence them, to at least to understand you or believe what you believe, or just nod and smile. So to manipulate isn't necessarily a bad word. It's what you do, what your intention is. That's the thing. But to getting back to your question, so these techniques are they regulate themselves, because in both of the books, since everything presented there is, you're going to use it to create a relationship with someone where they will better understand you and better understand what you're telling them. Now, if what you tell them is something that's really actually bad for them, you have just made it easier for them to see through you. So it's really, really difficult to use these techniques in a bad way. People have tried, and everyone who have tried, it has always, come back to them. There's an expression, it has bitten them in the ass, and that's actually what's happened, because it will come back to you, it will haunt you. Don't do it.
Eu queria, para falar de manipulação, eu coloquei aqui na minha pesquisinha uma tradução de manipulação que eu gosto muito e eu acho que faz o que você acabou de falar, que é positivar um termo que é tão negativo, que é ato ou efeito de tocar ou de preparar algo com as mãos. Quer dizer, você tocar no coração do outro para mexer naquilo, assim. No final do livro foi isso que ficou para mim, sabe? É mexer no coração para o coração se falar. Ou estou sendo viajando muito aqui?
No, that's a very beautiful way of putting it, actually.
Ok. Bom, agora falando de um assunto assim que todo mundo tem interesse, que é sobre sedução, né? Bom, você fala num capítulo sobre como seduzir com essa técnica. Então,
Well,
falando sobre sedução entre homens, mulheres, ou entre homens e mulheres, ou entre, enfim, o que são essas atitudes inconscientes que a gente pode dar aquela seduzida básica?
Well, the thing is, so seduction, first of all, I would say that these are not necessarily techniques for seduction. They are more like techniques to get someone a bit more interested in you. That's not really the same thing, but...
Pra pessoa não ficar assim, né? Tipo, pra pessoa não te perder, a pessoa ficar aqui o tempo inteiro, atenta, né?
Yeah, but also, you know, finding you attractive and being interested in that level. So, but again, those kinds of signals are also part of who we are. They're part of our non-verbal communication. And so I thought it would be strange to write a book about body language and not deal with this subject. Curiously enough, there are lots of books on body language. None of them has dealt with this area before, as far as I know. And as you know, who've read the books, a lot of the techniques are really not about you doing things. It's more about you observing things and using that information. And for instance, touch was something that you talked about in a metaphorical way. But touch is actually something that really, really makes us much more interested in other people. There's a very interesting study being done called the Midas study. King Midas was a Greek king who was cursed that everything he touched became gold. Now, the Midas study was done in restaurants where they had waiters handing the bill. Some of the waiters handed the bill. Some of the waiters handed the bill like this, with a touch on the shoulder. Now, those waiters always got much more tip than the other ones. And what's interesting is that there's a lot of areas. You have to understand that I come from a culture up in the cold north where we do not touch. You Brazilians, you are much more touchy and huggy. But there are always areas on the body where you can touch someone without it being, you know, ill or where it's still safe, where it's safe. For instance, the shoulder, the upper arm, and so on. But if you do these touches in a non-intrusive manner, maybe you want to point out something, the person being touched will not even notice, but will start to get a feeling that this is a person I enjoy, because we enjoy being touched. Because physical touch lowers our level of cortisol, our stress hormone is being lowered when people touch us.
Olha, não sabia. Olha, gente, diminui.
And that's just one of the things, of course. And we were talking about noticing, for instance, when someone is talking to you, when we look each other in the face, we can't see the entire face because our focal area for the pupil is not that big. So what we do is that we look at the eyes and the nose, eye and the nose, that's the way our eyes move. But when we start to get physically attracted to someone, we start to, instead of looking at the nose, we'll look at the lips. So we look at the eyes and the lips and the eyes and the lips. And if you see that in a person, you know that, oh, this person is now becoming attracted to me. But it works the other way around. See, all of this is done unconscious. We are not aware of this happening, which means that if you start to look at someone's lips, that person on a very subconscious level will feel that you are being attracted to me, and I like people who are attracted to me, so I'm going to be attracted to you. Our brain is a bit stupid in that way. So I can go on for ages about this.
Gente, isso é dica, hein?
Does this sound very strange, by the way? No. Quite obvious? Yes. That's the whole point.
Oh,
never mind.
Okay. So.
No.
Tá. Ok. Como não esquecer um nome? Você pode falar sobre essa técnica?
Sorry, something happened. Could you? No, you. I just lost her. You're sort of there, like a whisper, wherever she is. But now, I think I have a broken chord of the thing because I can still hear you like a whisper, but I can't hear you properly.
There is another one here.
Yeah. Right, I have a new thing on. Let's see. Right, so could I get something in my earphones? Nope. There's no one there. She took a break.
Como a gente pode fazer para não esquecer um nome? Você pode dar essa dica pra gente?
I have no idea what you just said.
No.
This is.
Okay.
I don't have anyone in this one. Does it need to be changed on the channel? Oh, perfect. Yes.
Okay.
Wonderful. Better than ever.
Posso ir? Ok. Como a gente faz para não esquecer um nome? Você pode ensinar essa técnica pra gente?
All right, memory techniques now. Sure. There's a couple of different ways. And the main reason that we don't remember names is that we didn't really care. You've all done this. You're at a party, you say hi to someone, they say their name, and you have forgotten it right away because you did not listen. You were just thinking about, I'm going to do this now and I'm going to do that. So the very first thing is to actually listen. And again, it's not rocket science. Americans are very good at this because they always repeat the name. That's a very good way of doing it. Just repeat it. Oh, hi, Suzanne. And you repeat the name. And then we can come into more subtle techniques. For instance, you can associate a name with an object or another person. For instance, I have a friend called Susan who has long blonde hair. Whenever I meet someone called Susan, I imagine the long blonde hair on that person. This means that I don't have to remember the name because I'm a visual person. I remember images. The next time I see this person, it might be in 2 months' time, I see this person and that will trigger my image of the long blonde hair, and that means that I know, oh, Susan. Because every people I see who I imagine have long blonde hair is called Susan. Do I make sense? So you associate a visual object, or you could put something on their shoulder, or if you have a friend called Max wearing glasses, put glasses on everyone called Max in your mind, and then you know. So.
Bom, mas a técnica de prestar realmente atenção em quem você está conhecendo e repetir o nome da pessoa, eu acho que já é uma grande técnica, porque você coloca a sua atenção, né?
Yes, and that's actually the secret behind everything I write. The main reason why we are so bad at doing this stuff is because we're mostly thinking about ourselves. Even when we believe that we are listening, we're really not. So that is the big secret. And for that matter, when it comes to a name, I don't know about Brazilian culture, but in Swedish culture, if someone has forgotten a name, they feel very awkward to ask about it again. You don't do it, and you pretend that you know their name and you don't. But I haven't met a single person who is not actually flattered if you tell them, sorry, I did forget your name. What was it again? Because that shows that you're actually giving them attention and they are so important for you, so you actually ask for their name again. It's perfect. Just ask for it. Yeah.
Ótimo. Existe uma responsabilidade para utilizar um instrumental que você nos proporciona nesse livro? Você poderia falar um pouco sobre isso?
Well, yeah, there is, because what you are going to be doing is that you are going, when you learn these methods, you are going to pick up on signals and on messages that other people are not aware that they're sending you, which means that you will start to know things about other people that they don't know that you know. And so you have to be really, really careful and humble about how you approach this. I mean, don't go, you know, you're a bit sad today. Why? Tell me. Because that person might not want anyone to know that they're feeling sad today. So you have to be really subtle in how to handle that information. That's a huge responsibility.
Sim. É atenção ao outro e cuidado, né?
Yeah. Well done.
Tão
You should write a book.
I'm trying. Você poderia demonstrar para a gente uma técnica em que você desenvolva empatia com várias pessoas ao mesmo tempo? Como seria isso? Ou isso é um exercício coletivo que você queira fazer depois?
Yeah, we could do something like that.
Ok.
But it's not going to be an empathy thing. It's going to be something else.
Ok. Mas você pode falar um pouco pra gente sobre a empatia coletiva? Tipo, essa empatia que aqui agora a gente tem que captar das pessoas e trocar com elas. Se existe alguma técnica que a gente poderia estar fazendo para melhorar isso aqui agora?
At this very moment?
Yeah,
Well, the thing about... I just want to make sure, when you talk about empathy, are we discussing the chapter of empathy in the new book? Okay.
Sim.
Right.
Sim, claro, tudo sobre o livro.
Yeah, but there are two books, so that's
No,
what...
no, this one.
Oh, that one, because I specifically
This
write about empathy.
one.
Okay.
Chapter 4.
Right. First of all, it actually needs preferably a physical meeting, because all the things that are supposed to be triggered in our communication, in our non-verbal communication and subconscious communication, we will not have that until we actually meet. So try, if you have something important to tell someone, try to avoid doing it by a text message. A phone call is slightly better, but if you plan on doing a phone call, try to avoid that. See if you can physically meet that person, because there are going to be so many more signals being sent in a physical meeting. And one of them we already discussed, which was adapting the body language to the other person. And it's not only about body language, it's also about, for instance, speed of voice. Some people say that the speed with which we talk is the most, the strongest relationship creating technique we have. I don't know why that is, but people who measure this quantifiably have just said that this is what it is. Voice is magical. And also, empathy is very strange, because our mind is a bit weird. Empathy works like this. For me, we have to separate cognitive empathy from emotional empathy. First of all, cognitive empathy, it's where I understand your thoughts. I can reason, I can see your reasoning for having a certain opinion. I might not agree with you, but I can understand your reasoning. Emotional empathy is when we feel what the other person is feeling. We're not feeling sorry for them, because that's sympathy. Empathy is, you all know this. If you have a piece of paper, you see someone have a piece of paper, and they point up their finger, and they take that piece of paper, and they cut the finger with the piece of paper. That feeling that you just have now, that one, that's emotional empathy. But that actually requires almost eye contact, and that we can be close to each other, because this is how the brain works. I see that you express an emotion. For instance, you're smiling. This triggers an area in my brain which triggers my own smiling muscles, which will be activated, but on a microscopical level. And after that, my brain is noticing, oh, I have activated my smiling muscles. This is a happy face. You are now, and now I understand that you are happy, and I can feel empathy for you. And this has been proven by injecting people with Botox. Do you know Botox? So Botox is a neurotoxin, right?
O Brasil é campeão de Botox no mundo. We are the champions.
Oh, yeah, right. So what happens if my face gets injected with Botox, my muscles can't work. And this is what happens with people getting their face injected with Botox. I will see that smile, my brain will be activated, but the muscles, my own muscles, can't be activated. And that means that I no longer know that you're happy because the chain is broken. And this has been proven by injecting people with Botox and then having them look at pictures where people are angry or sad or happy, and they have no clue to what emotion they're watching because they cannot do the same facial muscle thing. So if you have like a psychologist or a therapist with very smooth skin, perhaps it's a good idea to find another one. So all that has to be in place, but to get that system in place, we actually do need to meet properly. And we can't hide behind emails or chat rooms, because that will not create empathy at all.
Eu gosto muito do momento do livro que você constrói um diálogo dando exemplos de empatia ali num e-mail, numa coisa rápida, que é a pessoa manda um e-mail super informal e a outra responde super formal. Tipo, já não tem empatia, já não tem um diálogo aí, né? Eu não tenho uma pergunta exata para fazer disso, mas foi uma das partes que eu mais gostei, porque é muito engraçado você falar de um jeito com a pessoa e a pessoa te responder de um outro planeta, né? Agora, eu acho que para... como é que eu estou de tempo? Começar... Tá. Então, eu vou fazer agora uma pergunta final para a gente partir para um outro momento aqui mais prático da coisa. Henrik, eu acho que é uma curiosidade minha e também de todos aqui. Como você começou com esse estudo? Como foi o caminho?
I started by, as a young child, it felt like everyone had gotten a book about how to, just be around other kids. And I wasn't in school that day when that book was handed out. So I was very alone, and it just felt that they knew something that I didn't. So I was quite bullied as well, and I wanted to know, but what is going on here? Why are they picking on me? I do not understand this. So, and that started a quest just for me personally to try to figure out why we do what we do, why we do what we do to each other, and what influences our own behavior. And since this was just for my personal knowledge, I approached this from a number of different areas. I studied acting, I studied marketing, psychology, philosophy, religion, anything that I could get my hands on. Just to understand, and magic, which has a lot of psychology in it, just to get the tools for myself. So I did that for like 20 years, and after that someone told me that, hang on, you seem to know quite a lot about this stuff. And I thought that everyone did. I thought that everyone had this knowledge. It was just me that needed to understand more. But now I realize that not only do I have a lot of knowledge, I actually know more about it than most other people. And now I can tell them. So I started giving talks, and those talks soon became my first book. And I realized that people want to know so much stuff, so there will be no time for me to do anything else. So I quit my job, and I've been writing books, giving talks, putting on shows, doing TV shows ever since. And I will continue to do so for as long as I find things that I think it's important for other people to know about. And the second I don't, or the second people won't listen to me anymore, I will just stop and do something else.
Mas obrigada pelo que você...
Well, thank you.
Gente, agora a gente podia abrir para algumas perguntas da plateia. Alguém quer fazer alguma pergunta? Perguntas da plateia. Ai, você tá com cara de quem quer fazer uma pergunta.
Oi. Cadê pergunta? Aqui, ó.
Ó.
Boa noite, antes de tudo. Eu não li o livro, eu tenho, agora obviamente depois disso eu vou comprar, vou ler, eu estou super interessado, mas eu fiquei com dúvidas em relação a essa questão das pessoas, como identificar se a pessoa é uma pessoa visual, auditiva, ou se é uma pessoa cinética, como é que eu identifico isso? E se existe alguma possibilidade das pessoas terem as 3 características ao mesmo tempo, e como eu faria numa situação como essa para entender e criar essa empatia?
That's a very good question, because the truth is that we all, of course, have all 3 characteristics, some of them more than others at certain situations. And there are a lot of complicated techniques for identifying that, but there's also a very easy one, and that's just to ask, how would you prefer me to present this to you? And the person will tell you. And if not, you can just observe them for a couple of minutes in their, in a meeting or when they're hanging out with friends or whatever. Is this someone who's very interested in films? Or is this someone who's listening more to podcasts? To try to see how they prefer the stimulus in the natural environment. But again, the easiest way is just to ask them. Make sense? And if you're unsure, just give them all 3.
Oi? Tá bom. Can you take a picture? Okay. Ela trocou a pergunta pela foto.
Mas
alguém quer trocar alguma coisa?
A pergunta como quem estiver interessado em comprar o livro ali, aí no Bambolê está vendendo agora na volta, tá bom?
O livro está sendo vendido.
Você.
Pergunta? Pergunta aqui, ó, gente. Um minuto. Tá, então vamos ali nela, depois a gente volta pra cá pra ele.
Longe.
Sessão de autógrafo é depois, gato.
Depois todo mundo vai ter um tempinho para o autógrafo ali fora, tá bom, pessoal?
Isso. Oi, amada, tu tá furando o maior filão.
Deixa ela.
Ok. Pode fazer a pergunta, por favor. Pode fazer.
Oi, boa tarde. Eu queria saber se você sente que as pessoas se sentem intimidadas achando que você está analisando elas.
I'm just waiting for the... Oh, there we go. Well, the thing is, yes, I do get that quite a lot, but people who are intimidated by me, they stay clear of me. I don't meet them, so it's quite all right. Most often, it's journalists who feel uncomfortable with me, because a journalist have a profession where a journalist will meet you. Are you a journalist, by the way?
No, I'm your editor, actually.
Sorry, we haven't met.
No problem, we haven't met yet.
So, well, as you then well know, because of your work, a journalist is someone who's used to control the situation. So a journalist will meet you, they already know what answers they want from you, and they will try to control the interview so you will give them their answer. And when they meet me, they feel that, oh, here's someone else who's also in control of the situation. What they don't realize, of course, is that I'm there to create a great rapport, relationship with them as well. So you don't have to be intimidated by me. You can if you want to, but it's not necessary.
Thank you.
Temos uma outra pergunta ali.
Primeiramente, como curiosidade, eu queria saber se você, como mentalista, chega a ser um mágico e iluminista. Qual é a diferença entre ilusionista?
Difference between magic and mentalism. Right. So, mentalism is a branch of magic, or illusionism at least. But magic, when I talk about magic, I talk about card tricks, stage illusions, people putting other people in boxes and sawing them in half, stuff like that. That is magic. Mentalism is more about, here's a good way of talking about it. Magic is me doing something. That card trick will look the same whether you're going to be there or not. I can do it in front of a mirror. It will be the same thing. Mentalism happens in the interaction between you and me. It actually happens in your head. So mentalism is something that happens in the head of the audience rather than that I'm just doing it. Make sense?
Mais uma. Ali.
Olá. Olá. Hi. Você mencionou séries como Mentalista, enfim, eu sei várias dessas, tipo Lie to Me, coisas que o Sherlock Holmes faz na série do Sherlock. E eu queria saber o que você acha dessas séries, se é um serviço, se é um desserviço, se é um aumento da realidade. O que você acha sobre isso?
Well, to be honest, I haven't seen The Mentalist or Lie to Me, just so I don't have to answer that question. But as with all, I know that Lie to Me is supposed to be based on the works of Dr. Paul Ekman, who is a famous body language researcher. But as with all television, of course, it's extrapolated and enhanced and made larger than life. So I would say that, yes, there is a nugget of truth in it, but whatever they do in those kinds of shows, that's not something that you can go around doing in normal life. And for that matter, it would probably not be practical doing it in normal life. You don't need it. But as a very, what's it called? The opposite of sharp is, anyway, I suppose it's a good way of understanding what it is we're doing, but don't believe everything you see in those shows.
Mais perguntas? Aqui, na frente.
Oi, boa noite. Eu gostaria de saber como a gente pode praticar empatia em rede social, quando a pessoa com quem você está falando, ela está ali virtualmente. Você não está tendo esse contato visual, assim, físico com ela.
Well, first of all, I would say that it's difficult. And because the only tool you have is text, basically. So that makes it almost impossible. But what you can do is what we were talking about earlier. You can watch how the other person, their written communication. Do they use long sentences, short sentences? Do they use a lot of text or a very short bit of text? Do they use factual business terms, complicated language or very uncomplicated language? And you shape your own written answers to basically look like theirs, because that is a way of communicating to them that I communicate the way you do, so probably I think sort of the way you do as well. And that will make that person, giving them an easier time to accept you and trust you. But that is basically the only tool you have, I'm afraid.
Bom, gente, agora vamos para o momento ação na plateia. Tem pergunta? Ok. Mais uma pergunta e fim, porque eu tenho uma chefa. Pode fazer.
Tá. Olá, eu gostaria de perguntar, eu gostaria que você pudesse listar 3 áreas do conhecimento humano que você acredita que são importantes de serem articuladas para fazer a leitura que você faz e que você disse que todos podem fazer. Como psicologia ou fisiologia, não sei.
Three areas. What do you?
Three areas.
Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, well. Here's the thing. Basically, all areas of knowledge are important, of course. But yes, psychology. But also, for instance, marketing, because there's a lot of marketing psychology which deals with influencing people in a way that they might not want to. But if you know about those tricks, you can sort of not fall for them. And anything has to do with humans. I love philosophy, for instance, because and literature, absolutely. But if I were to pick three, I would say those three: psychology, marketing, and philosophy. Because if marketing is cynical, then philosophy will sort of take the edge of that.
Bom, gente, agora vamos para o nosso exercício. Há uma ação com a plateia. Eu vou ser a ajudante do mágico, ajudante do mentalista. Okay, I'll help you. So.
Are you?
Yeah, well.
I'm going to use you guys.
Quantas pessoas? How many? Two?
Well, so how much time do we have?
15 minutes.
15. Okay, good.
Okay.
Because I want to do two things with you, and the first thing I'm going to use all of you, and this might, I'm going to stand for this. This might look a bit stupid, but this is just to prove a very important point, because everything I write about is that our mind and our body are the same system. So, and that is what makes mind reading possible, because very often our mind looks at our body to know what we're thinking, and the other way around. So I just want you all to experience that connection for yourself, how true it is, that mind-body connection. So you are going to create a physical sensation now just by imagining things. So this is what I want you to do. And again, this is a bit silly, but this is just to prove a point. So I want you to all to fold your hands like this. And I'm going to ask you to do something in a while. Don't do it yet. I'm just going to explain it for you first. What I'm going to ask you to do in a while is I'm going to ask you to raise your pointy fingers, it's these ones, in a manner like that. So you don't do it yet, but so you keep your hands folded and you raise your pointy fingers like this. Now, when you do this, I want you to imagine that there in the space between your fingers, there actually exists a magnet. This is an extremely strong but completely invincible finger magnet. And what this magnet will do is that it will actually draw your fingers together. And you can't even resist it. This will happen whether you want it or not. But don't pull your fingers together consciously. Just imagine the magnet and see what happens. And that's it. So I'm just waiting now for the translation to be done. Are you all know what you're going to do? Right. So look at your hands. Look at your hands. Raise your fingers. Imagine the magnet. Look at your fingers and see how your fingers just go together. They come together. Don't look at me. Look at your fingers and see how they come together. They come together. You're doing absolutely nothing. This is a magnet, and they pull them together. And even for you, this is very. And there's someone, and you are fighting really, really hard at temptation here over here, and your fingers are together almost. And there we go. Now. So this is your imagination creating a response in your body without you doing anything, and that connection is what makes all of this possible. Now, because of that, I will now try something else, and this will be difficult because you're having a translation. I'm talking a language which is not my first language. We have all these barriers. Also, we're from different cultures, so I truly have no idea if this is going to work or not, but we'll try it. So this is not something by the way, is the translation keeping up with me, or am I talking too fast? It's good? Okay. So we're going to play a little game. And I'm not going to use all of you. I'm going to pick 5 of you to participate in this game. And we have locked the doors, by the way, so there's no... Anyway, but these 5 people, are going to be chosen completely at random. At this particular point in time, I have no idea who I'm going to use. So because of that, I thought I'd start by explaining the rules of the game. So everyone knows the rules. So if you get picked, you know what's expected of you, and it won't take too much time. And we'll just wait for that. So here's the game. I brought with me a bag, and in this bag I have 5 balls. Now they are of a bit of a different color. So, I'm all sweaty. So one of these balls is black, the other 4 are golden. So 5 of you are going to get this ball from me, and the only thing I want you to do is to grab a ball from the bag. You can stay here, because you probably will need to hold it again. But
Okay.
yeah. But I want you to do it in a very specific manner. So here's what you do. There are 3 things you do. Rule number 1, when you get the bag from me, do not look inside the bag, because it's supposed to be a random choice. So try, and the thing is, we do peek. We have this reflex reaction that we peek. Try. It's not the end of the world, but try not to. Rule number 2 is that for what you're going to do next, try to use your left hand instead of your right hand. And that is just because I come from a culture of handshakes. I might, suddenly start to shake your hand, which is something we do with the right hand. And if you're holding something in your right hand, it will be awkward. So just because of that, try to use your left hand. And third and most important rule, this is what you do. You take your left hand, you put it in the bag, you feel around, and you think, oh, I want this ball. And you bring out a ball with your fist closed. Because you guys who draw balls from the bag, you will have all the time in the world later on to check whether you've gotten one of the golden balls or the black ball. But in that instant when you pull it out of the bag, I do not want the people sitting next to you to know what color you have. If I'm close by, I don't want to know either. It's going to be your secret. So those are the rules. Try to not peek inside the bag. Use your left hand preferably. But most important of all, pick a ball, bring it up with your fist closed. Are we agreed upon the rules? Perfect. I'm just going to find 5 volunteers.
5 pessoas.
And I should also say, I'm going to pick anyone who does not look me... Sorry? No, this is going to be... You'll see.
Você escolhe.
And I'm going to pick anyone who doesn't look me in the eyes when I pass them. One ball. Yeah, you can follow me. And let's run. Let's run over there.
Okay.
You're number 2. Yay! Oh, you look so happy about this. I'm not going to make you do something awkward. Sorry? What happened?
No, because he was like...
Showing it?
Yes.
Oh, well, put it back. Okay. Put it back. And
Você não pode mostrar quando você pegar. Pega fechado.
You have one? Perfect. Let's head over here.
Okay.
Hi. I'm free. What's your name? So you're number 3. You're going to select number 4. So please stand up. Stand up. And point to someone you find really attractive. Or just someone you don't know at all, or... Over there. Let's head over there. You have one? Should be one left.
Ok.
And I'm a bit lazy now, so I think I can manage now. Thank you. So, the 5 of you who are holding my balls, could you just raise your hands so I can see where you're seated? Was you? Was you? Oh, you're very close. Okay, we'll try this. And now, this is important. You can lower your hands again. I want you to take a look so you know what color you have. It's really important that you know what color you have. Otherwise, this will not work. And have you all done so? You've checked your colors? You've checked your colors? Have you checked your colors, sir? Without telling me, have you checked your ball? You know what it looks like? Don't tell me what color it is. I just want to know that you know what you have there. And you've all checked your colors now. Great! Now the rest of us, give these 5 heroes a huge applause because they're going to come up here and join me in front of you. So come up with you. Come here. I'm not going to do anything embarrassing. It's just a bit of fun. And let's applaud until they get here. And if you could just line up in front here. Do you want to put down your camera? You could put it on the table if you want to. Now, the 5 of you have been selected for something special. One of you a bit more than the others, namely the person who drew the black ball. Now, right now, we don't know who that person is, and we're not supposed to know either, because first we do want to know what was it that you were selected for. What's your name, sir? What's your name? Eduardo? Eduardo. And your name? Renata. Eduardo, this might have been a lottery. There might have been 5 lottery tickets, 1 lottery win. Are we good? Yeah. So this might have been a lottery. There might have been 5 lottery tickets, 1 winning ticket, the black ball. One of you, Eduardo, might be on the verge of winning a great prize. Renata, it could also be a punishment. We don't know yet, but it's not. It's a lottery. The black ball has won. The only thing left for me now is to hand out the prize. But in order to hand out the prize, I of course need to know who the winner is. And I thought I'm going to deduce that by using mind reading, which is something that does not exist. But before we start to talk with such very strange words, and I'm not sure if you noticed, but you all saw this, that when all of you came up here, it took some of you a longer time than others, depending on where you were seated and so on. What's your name? Carolina, you were seated over here, so you were quite quick to get up. Eduardo, you were seated all over there, so you were the last one up here, which is natural. But there was something very interesting happening. What's your name, sir? Ciao. You didn't really want to do this. You took quite a long time to, stand up and move away. So I thought that you were going to be the last one up because you really took your time. You really did not want to do this. But you weren't. Even though you really took your time, Eduardo here still managed to be the last one up, although you stood up at the same time as anyone else. I'm not saying you're lazy. I'm just saying you moved a bit slower than the rest. Now, of course, this could have a million reasons. We've never met. Maybe you just walk slowly. Maybe you were terrified. Maybe you have hurt yourself on the gym and you have, I don't know. But I didn't see a limp. You didn't look too paralyzed. So one of the reasons that you could have that sort of leisurely stroll down here, making you the last one here, could be that you, Eduardo, when you heard me say, and they're going to join me up here, that you thought something like this, that this is perhaps not what I thought would happen when I entered this room, and if I were to choose, I would prefer not to do this. However, if he wants me to get up there and make a fool out of myself, I could give him that because I will probably be safe. This will not be too much about me. And that would mean that no panic, no stressed walk. And if that was the reasoning behind that leisurely stroll, that the only conclusion I could draw from that is that you, Eduardo, could give me the first golden ball. Do we have a golden ball? That's the first golden ball. Thank you. And, Renata, you have the bag. Thank you. Eduardo, I'll keep you here, so hold that for me. Thank you. With a complicated name. Oh, no? Okay. No, but I'll keep you. Carolina, would you take a big step forward and turn to me? Look at me. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to ask you 4 questions, and your job is to look at me and answer no to every question. They might be stupid. I might try to trick you. Ignore everything I do. Just answer no. Do you understand? Perfect. Perfect. That wasn't even one of the questions. You're going to be, this is going to be trouble for me. So, Karina, here are the questions. 4 questions. Look at me. Are you a man? Are you a woman? Do you have a golden ball? Do you have a black ball? Right. So, what we'll look at. Okay, so what we're looking for here are pauses and changes in pauses, because lying on demand is very difficult. And something happened there that distracted me a bit, so I'm going to keep you as well, if you could just take a step back, Carolina. Oh, thank you, and that made me sure, because here's the thing. I looked for a prolonged pause. I heard one, but I was a bit unsure, but then this happened. When we move backwards, we do what you just did. We turn around to check that there's nothing there that we can trip on. Even if we know that there's nothing there, I just stood there, we still do that. The only time we're not doing that is when it's more important how other people look at us. For instance, when we have something to hide, because then we back like this. So the fact that that prolonged pause was there, and the fact that you could turn your back towards me and the rest of the audience, tells me not that much to hide, which should indicate another golden ball. Haha, there's a second golden ball. Could you switch places? So I'm going to talk to all 3 of you now, and we'll see if you understand me. We'll hope, because we need to speed this up. Do you get me all right? Yeah. And you as well? And Renata, you understand? Okay. So the prize I mentioned, it's a really good prize. And you know the feeling you have when something unexpected happened. Did I get this on a Friday? You have that feeling, exactly. Yay. Some of you more than others, but right. Okay. So they smile very nice. But a true feeling always generates a true facial expression. And a true smile, an honest smile, is always symmetrical, meaning both sides smile as much. You know. But if we don't have a true feeling of happiness, but we still have to put on a smile because there's an idiot in front of us saying, oh, you know how great it feels, we put on a smile. And that smile is often asymmetrical, more on one side than the other. So in this context, when I said that thing about the prize, an asymmetrical smile, more on one side than the other, should indicate not a true sense of happiness, which should mean I'm not going to win this, which should mean Renata Kulkula. Golden ball. Yes, there we are, the 3rd golden ball. But well done, you. So, 2 people. I know that by now I have a 50% chance just by guessing. I'm well aware of that. I mean, I'm playing the odds in my favor. I'm not an idiot. But I'm trying to find something. And I have to ask you, do you know each other at all? They didn't even look. No, I have no idea who's standing there. Because we were talking about mimicking body language, and look at these 2 guys. They're standing exactly the same way, with a hand and a leg out. So there's something going on here. This makes it a bit more difficult for me. So I will actually introduce the prize. And I might have hyped this out too much now. But the prize is 2 amazing books that I've written. Yay! So it's the first one and the new one, and this is just out. We haven't talked about this because it's so brand new. So this is the prize. and I'm going to ask if you want it, and you say yes, whether you want it or not, and we'll take it from there. So, do you want the books? See? Do you want the books? I'll ask you again, sorry. I'm so messing this up now. Do you want the books? And you said? Okay, so. If I'm wrong now, you know what I've been trying to do. There's something very interesting happening now, because this gentleman here started off by being very uncomfortable being up here, but has, during the time has been on stage, or whatever we should call this, given me more and more of a challenging attitude. And you've seen it as well, right? While you with a complicated name have basically stayed the same. And it is that challenge that sort of lead. If 50% is chance, I would say that I'm not 100% sure. I might be, 75? No, 65% sure. But I have to make a decision, and I think, sir, you have the black ball. I think these are yours. If you show me if you have the black ball, then you get the balls. Let me see. Ha! There it is! There's the black ball! So the books are yours. Congratulations. I'll take yours. Thank you for playing. Well done. Eduardo, put them there. And give all 5 of them a huge round of applause. Give them your love. Thank you so much. And I think we're done.
Yeah, so, obrigada a todos. Tem mais alguma coisa que você gostaria de falar para essas pessoas maravilhosas? Is there anything that you want to say to everyone?
And come to the signing.
Ok.
And thank you so much for being here, of course.
Obrigada.
Ok, uma salva de palmas! Vai estar esperando todos ali fora. Tá lembrando que tem um livro lá na fora também, tá, pessoal? Quem quiser comprar um
livro tem lá
livro,
fora, ele vai autografar.
vai autografar também, pode sair.